Let's dive into the discussions shaping the nation.
Regarding the community employment schemes and the fact that it is nearly impossible now to retain participants on the schemes. I'm chairman of the scheme myself, and I know it's not your remit totally, but this has a huge impact on rural organisations, rural communities, and the viability and sustainability of the same. If you could make a statement on the matter.
Thank you, Deputy McGrath. And again, this is a question that fits across both my roles. The government recognises and values the many contributions that are being made in Tipperary by not-for-profit, voluntary and community organisations, and indeed I commend your own work in this space. The Department of Rural Community Development supports the community and voluntary sector through a number of schemes, in particular the Community Services Programme, SICAP, and the Scheme to Support Volunteering. The Community Services Programme supports 428 community-based organisations with a budget in 2025 of 55.4 million. This provides local services through a social enterprise model. In 2023, the majority of CSP-funded organisations were awarded 5-year contracts, which has provided a certainty in terms of operation and employment. In addition, and in recognition of the higher costs arising from increases in the statutory minimum wage, the contribution towards employment costs for those organisations with medium or high funding needs has increased. SICAP, as I've said previously, is a national programme delivered in both rural and urban areas by local development companies to help those in greatest need. It aims to reduce poverty, promote social inclusion and equality by supporting disadvantaged communities and individuals. My department has contributed over 47.4 million in 2024 for SICAP and committed over 48.9 million for 2025. Finally, Ireland's volunteering structures are recognised as a model of best practice. More than 1 million people volunteer regularly in Ireland, and I'm committed to supporting them in this work. Funding for my department to the volunteer sector has increased from 3.1 million in 2020 to 7.3 million in 2025. However, I'm very aware that challenges remain, particularly in the schemes referred to by the Deputy, and I am working in the Department of Social Protection to make changes to those schemes so that we will be able to attract more participants to them and encourage more people to get involved in their local communities through the fantastic work of CE, RSS and TUS.
Thanks, Minister, and I do know, Minister, that you're hands-on here because you do understand it yourself, because you're from a rural community. I mean, it's just impossible, and it's so strained in on the volunteers, the voluntary boards, that are trying to fill these positions and trying to get the work done and keep, you know, the whole plethora of areas, schemes such as rural transport services, Meals on Wheels, daycare, community centres, tiny towns groups are under enormous strain, and while many other groups receive state support, and that is no good if they don't have the workers. And the scheme needs to be tweaked. And I know some years ago, it was allowed, people were allowed, if they were after 3 years done and they were certain age, they were left, carry on their work until the retirement age. I think that must be looked at again, because it allowed that, because they just, with nearly full employment, as we're told, it's hard to get participants. But these people, and our own CS scheme and the community supervisor, Sean Byrne, in my own 3 villages, Ballymacarbery, Newcastle, and indeed at Finn and Ballybacon. And that's threatened 2 counties. So it's really bringing things together as well. We might be in the hunting field last week against Waterford Tipperary, but we work together in that Curling-Kayla attitude, and that's the way it is. And I want to compliment all the participants and all the schemes throughout Tipperary and every place else. They do a meaningful job, and they don't get a lot of reward at times.
Thank you,
little remuneration, but they do excellent work. Minister.
Despite all our GA talk, we had managed to avoid last weekend up until your intervention there, Deputy. Suited me anyway. I would also point out, Deputy, that we have just made announcements this year under the Growing Social Enterprise Fund, this week. So we've the Borrisley Community Centre in Tipperary has been awarded 15,000 for solar panel installation. Cannon Hayes Centre, which I know you're very familiar with, has been awarded 11,559. Clock Jordan, 15,000. Newport Development Association, 3,800. 45,000 for the Millennium Family Resource Centre in Tipperary to assist them in their work. And you know, they're the kind of specific interventions that are assisting local groups in your county to continue their work. and to grow the expansion of their service. And I said, with my social protection hat on, we are looking at what we can do to enhance the schemes to make them more attractive participants. But a scheme is totally dependent on our supervisors, and I want to acknowledge the amazing work of supervisors on CE, on RSS and on tools right around the country. And I'm very happy that we've just secured some pay awards recently in that space, and we will continue to grow the scheme, grow the impact of the scheme.
Deputy McGrath.
And the volunteer boards, and you mentioned the place in Tipperary, like Knocker Raleigh Resource Centre, and indeed the Millennium Centre in Glengoole, and of course Barfield and Cashel. But there's 160 vacancies now across the schemes in Tipperary, recent data has shown. So it's very difficult this time of year to cover everything. Tidy towns, GAs, there are community groups, and all the other issues that are involved in Meals on Wheels, and indeed community centres. Just haven't got enough staff. They can't. And I want to thank the people in the department that we deal with as well, the officials that help us out and have given us kind of extensions, rolling over extensions to keep the schemes alive, because we can't get the participants. So the participants are needed. So the criteria has to be made easier, and especially look for people that are on there that are in the late 50s, allow them to stay on the scheme until they retire, because the possibility of them retraining, going back to work. And our own scheme has been very successful in progression, and that's part of our problem, because we have put people back into self-employed, into jobs, and it's been great because it benefits the participants and the community. But we need, and I do appreciate that you are trying to tweak it, and you will tweak it. I look forward to a positive outcome, and our schemes will continue do the valuable work that they're doing in Tipperary.
Yeah. Minister.
The schemes do superb work, and I just compliment you and all the volunteers that run them and that are on the boards. I have the report into the future of rural social scheme, which I'm looking at the moment. We'll be making some announcements imminently around that. Again, about making it easier for you to get participants. And I very much believe, and you and I have had this discussion before, that our schemes are changed. They're no longer labour market activation schemes totally. They're much more community social support schemes, community support schemes, and the changes I'm looking at making will reflect the change of that scheme, that it's important that we give people a chance to support local communities. It's a matter of pride for them. It's a matter of identity for many people. And I think we need to review how we look at the schemes and how we approach the schemes, and that's something I'm very focused on at the moment.
Thank you, Minister.
Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.